Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a topic, look at the sources you've provided, and really pull out the essential understanding you need. Think of it as getting you fully informed without all the noise.
And today, we're diving into a fascinating Japanese philosophy. It's all about living a long, fulfilling life.
Exactly. You gave us a great starting point. The book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia and Francesc Morales. And for you, our listener, the learner, someone curious who wants knowledge quickly but also deeply, loves those aha moments.
Right.
Our mission today is to unpack Ikigai.
Right. We'll look at what it is, how it connects to longevity and happiness.
And critically, what practical ideas you might actually be able to use in your own life.
Yeah, everything we're discussing comes straight from the research and insights in that bestseller. So it's a really focused look at this whole philosophy.
Okay, let's get right into it then. What is Ikigai? I mean, fundamentally, we hear the word, but what's the real core meaning?
Well, the authors put it nicely. It's essentially the Japanese idea of the happiness of always being busy. But maybe more profoundly, it's your reason for being.
Your raison d'etre.
Precisely. Your personal drive. In Okinawa, where people live incredibly long lives, they say your Ikigai is literally why you get up in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how that sense of purpose just shapes their whole day, their whole life.
What really jumped out at me was how different this feels from, the Western focus on retirement being the end goal. The book says there isn't even a direct Japanese word for retire in our sense.
Exactly. And that absence, it really tells you something, doesn't it? It highlights this cultural importance placed on staying purposeful, staying engaged throughout your entire life.
Not just stopping everything.
Right. It's about continuous engagement, not just cessation. It makes you think about our own views on work and getting older.
It definitely makes me think of Viktor Frankl and logotherapy. We've touched on that before. Is there a connection there?
Oh, absolutely, a strong connection. Logotherapy is all about helping people find their unique meaning in life. The book suggests that Ikigai shares that focus on purpose, but maybe takes it a step further, integrates it more into daily life.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, both are about meaning. Ikigai feels more woven into the everyday stuff, the social fabric.
Can you remind us a bit about Frankl's core ideas?
Right.
Especially given his own background, his experiences in Auschwitz, that perspective is just so powerful.
Well, Frankl's time in the concentration camps, it became the bedrock of his philosophy. He saw firsthand that even in the absolute worst circumstances, humans could still choose their attitude, find meaning.
That ability to find meaning despite suffering.
Exactly. That was central to logotherapy. We'd ask patients facing despair, why don't you commit suicide? And their answers, they always pointed back to some purpose, something that kept them going. It just shows the incredible power of having a reason to live.
And the book mentioned Morita therapy too, another Japanese approach focused on purpose. How does that fit in?
Morita therapy, yeah. Developed by Shoma Morita. It aligns with this purpose-driven idea, but it has a slightly different angle. Instead of trying to change or control your emotions like a lot of Western therapy,
right,
Morita therapy is about accepting your feelings, whatever they are, and then focusing your actions on your purpose anyway. It has these 4 phases: rest, then light work, then more purposeful work, then back to social life, but guided by your values.
So acceptance, then action.
Pretty much. And the book also mentions Nikan meditation briefly, that involves reflecting on 3 questions to build gratitude and responsibility. It all points to this Japanese focus on self-awareness and purpose.
Okay, so Ikigai is this personal reason for being, and the book makes a strong case linking it to longevity, especially in Okinawa. What's the deal with Okinawa? Why is it so special?
Okinawa is just extraordinary when it comes to longevity. They have way more centenarians, people living past 100, than the global average, significantly more. And researchers really believe Ikigai is a major piece of that puzzle, working alongside other factors, of course. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much does our own sense of purpose affect how long we live?
I assume things like diet and lifestyle play a big role too.
Oh, definitely. The book points to several things. Their diet is packed with vegetables, tofu, sweet potatoes, fish. They live a simple life, often outdoors, lots of green tea. And, the climate helps.
A subtropical climate.
Right.
Yeah.
There's even a village there, Ogimi, nicknamed the Village of Longevity, highest life expectancy in the world, apparently. It suggests this real interplay between their environment, their habits, and that Ikigai mindset.
And this ties into the whole blue zones idea, doesn't it? Dan Buettner's work identifying these long-living populations.
Exactly. Buettner pinpointed 5 of these blue zones around the world. places where people live exceptionally long. Okinawa is one of them.
And the others.
The book lists them. Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda in California. Interesting, right? Fiji, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Icaria in Greece. Very different places, geographically, culturally.
But they must share some common ground. Is a purpose, like Ikigai, one of those shared things?
Absolutely. That's one of the key findings cited in the book. Across these diverse zones, you see common factors pop up again and again.
Such as?
Things like a mostly plant-based diet, regular physical activity, often just built into their day, not like formal exercise.
Probably running or walking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, a strong sense of life purpose, that Ikigai element, plus really strong social ties, community. It shows longevity isn't just one thing, it's a whole package deal.
Let's dig into those Okinawan practices a bit more. The book mentions some specifics beyond just the Ikigai.
Right, some fascinating customs. Their diet, we mentioned, is nutrient-dense, and they practice hara-hachibu.
Hara-hachibu.
Yeah, it's this mindful eating habit. Basically, stop eating when you feel about 80% full, not stuffed.
That sounds sensible
Yeah.
and hard.
Huh? Yeah, maybe for us. They also tend to use smaller plates, which naturally helps with portion control. Their overall calorie intake, their BMI, is much lower than in the US, for example. This conscious approach to eating seems really key.
That 80% rule, hara-hachibu, it feels so simple, but wow, probably very effective. What about their social structure? The book mentioned moai.
Ah, yes, moai. These are like informal, close-knit groups, people with shared interests who support each other, emotionally, sometimes even financially, lifelong bonds.
It's like a built-in support system.
Exactly. Creates a real sense of belonging. They also have yuimaru, which is like teamwork, collaboration learned from when they're young. And this philosophy, Itariba showed.
What's that?
It means roughly treat everyone like a brother, even if you've never met them before. This real warmth and openness in the community, it seems fundamental to their well-being, this deep social connection.
It really does paint a picture of a very intentional, interwoven community. Okay, so the book also talks about anti-aging secrets linked to Ikigai. It's not just living longer, but living better longer.
Precisely. And a huge part of that is keeping the mind active. You know the old saying, mens sana in corpore sano, sound mind, sound body.
Right.
The book stresses that link. Mental exercise, keeping your brain stimulated, it builds new pathways. Neuroscience research, like Shlomo Breznitz's work cited in the book, backs this up. Lifelong learning, staying curious, they're powerful anti-aging strategies.
And what about stress? That feels like such a big factor in aging for so many of us today.
A huge factor.
Yeah.
The book really hammers home how damaging chronic stress is. Studies show it can actually speed up cellular aging. It messes with antibodies, affects our telomeres, those protective caps on our chromosomes.
Telomeres, right.
Yeah. And while the body's stress response adrenaline, cortisol was useful for, escaping predators.
Caveman stress.
Exactly. The constant low-level buzz of stress many of us live with now, that's the problem. Makes you think how modern life often keeps that stress system switched on.
So how does the book suggest we fight back against that modern stress?
Well, mindfulness comes up as a key tool, focusing on the present moment. Things like meditation, breathing exercises.
Standard but effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the book also mentions some research suggesting a little bit of stress might actually be good for us, push us towards healthier habits. But it's that constant high-level stress that's really risky.
And it's not just mental stress, is it?
Yeah.
Being inactive physically also seems to age us prematurely.
Oh, definitely. Sedentary lifestyles are linked to so many diseases and even shorter telomeres. The book really emphasizes building movement into your day. It doesn't have to be intense exercise, just walking, gardening, things common in blue zones.
Movement as part of life, not a separate chore.
Exactly. And sleep, of course. Can't forget sleep.
Crucial for anti-aging.
Absolutely vital. The book highlights melatonin, the hormone we produce during sleep. The powerful antioxidant boosts the immune system, might slow down age-related decline. Plus, a positive attitude, emotional awareness, all of its like, those also seem to play a big role in longevity, according to studies mentioned.
There's that lovely bit in the book, the song from the Ogimi Centenarian, an ode to longevity. What were the main points in that song?
Yes, it beautifully sums up so much of what we've discussed. It talks about eating a bit of everything, sleeping well, and waking early, walking every day, living calmly, enjoying the seasons.
Simple thing.
Very simple. And keeping your fingers busy, staying active mentally and physically. Continuous engagement.
That's a wonderful, concise recipe. Okay, then the book shifts to talk about flow as a way to find and live your Ikigai. This brings in Csikszentmihalyi's work.
Yes, flow, that feeling of being completely immersed in something you enjoy where time just melts away.
Losing yourself in an activity.
Exactly. The book calls it an optimal experience and contrasts it with things that just give quick, superficial pleasure. And Csikszentmihalyi's research, as the book notes, found this state of flow is universal. People experience it across all cultures.
So what helps us get into that flow state? What are the conditions?
Based on researcher Owen Schaffer's work, the book lists about 7 things. Knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, getting immediate feedback on how you're doing.
Okay.
Knowing where you're generally heading, facing a challenge that's significant but not overwhelming, having the skills to meet that challenge, and this is key, being free from distractions.
Finding that sweet spot.
Right, that perfect balance between the challenge of the task and your own skill level. Not too hard, it's frustrating. Not too easy, it's boring.
And having clear goals, but not being obsessed with the outcome.
Precisely. The book uses this great metaphor. Compass over maps. Having a clear general direction is more important than having every single step planned out. And once you start, you immerse yourself in the doing, not just the end result.
Makes sense. But distractions. In today's world, that's a massive hurdle to flow, isn't it? What practical tips does the book offer?
Oh yeah, distractions are killer. The book highlights how bad multitasking actually is for us, citing studies showing it tanks productivity, even hurts cognitive function.
I believe it.
So practical tips include things like no screens for the first and last hour of the day, turning off phone notifications when you need to focus, maybe a tech fasting day each week, setting specific times for email, using techniques like Pomodoro.
The Pomodoro technique, right? Working in focus bursts.
Yeah, and having rituals around your work, a dedicated space, basically consciously designing your environment to support deep focus.
Intentionally creating that bubble for concentration. The book also talks about flow in Japanese culture, especially with the takumi, the master artisans.
The takumi. They're like the ultimate embodiment of flow and dedication, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just incredible focus and perseverance in their craft.
Total immersion.
Totally. The book gives examples like artisans who perfect making a single type of screw for Toyota, or someone who spends their life sorting bristles for makeup brushes. It even mentions Steve Jobs' admiration for that level of Japanese craftsmanship. Their dedication is their Ikigai.
That bristle sorter anecdote is amazing. And Jiro Dreams of Sushi, that documentary is such a perfect example of this, isn't it? Lifelong dedication.
Absolutely. Jiro's relentless pursuit of the perfect sushi is a prime case study in the book for finding flow and deep purpose in your work. There's this almost spiritual connection to the craft, which ties into Shinto ideas about spirits and objects.
It's interesting, too, how the book mentions artists or scientists who become quite reclusive, almost to protect that state of flow, and this idea of microflow, finding little bits of engagement even in mundane tasks. That seems really useful.
Yeah, finding enjoyment in the small things. Like the example of Bill Gates apparently finding flow washing dishes, making it mindful.
Huh, really?
Well, that's the idea. Cultivating those little moments can add up.
Yeah.
Meditation is also mentioned as a way to train the mind for focus, helping access flow by calming things down, getting into those alpha and theta brainwaves. And finally, rituals. Humans are ritualistic, the book argues. Having rituals provide structure, helps flow. Rituals over goals is a phrase they use.
So, reflecting on what puts you into flow can be a clue to finding your own Ikigai. Okay, then the book looks at wisdom from masters of longevity. The supercentenarians, people over 110. What lessons came from them?
It's a collection of really interesting quotes and stories. Common themes pop up. Eating well, sleeping well, like Mizuokawa said. Maybe avoiding Meet Maria Capovia's experience. Having a sense of humor, John Calment.
She lived to 122.
Incredible. And keeping your mind and body busy. Walter Bruning emphasized that. Alexander Imish just quipped, I just haven't died yet. It's often simple advice, isn't it?
And it's not just reaching old age, but staying passionate, staying purposeful. The Ikigai artist the book mentions.
Right, like Christopher Plummer wanting to drop dead on stage, or Osamu Tezuka's last words being, please just let me work. Carmen Herrera painting into her hundreds. It's about that enduring drive. Lifelong learning comes up too, with people like T.H. White, E.O. Wilson. The section wraps by highlighting Japan's success with longevity, linking it back to diet, healthcare, but also culture, community, staying active, and Ikigai.
And finally, the book takes us right into Ogimi, the village of longevity, sharing lessons directly from the centenarians there. What stood out from their daily lives?
The picture of Ogimi is one of deep community connection. It feels almost timeless, Community centers are important. Those Moai groups we talked about are central. Lots of volunteer work.
A strong social fabric.
Definitely. They have their own local spiritual beliefs, these Bunagaya spirits. Birthday parties are big social events. They play sports like gateball, low impact, keeps them moving and socializing. It looks relaxed, but it's purposefully busy, engaged with their purpose.
And the inscription at the edge of the village?
Yeah, it basically welcomes people seeking long life and encourages everyone to stay active right into old age. A beautiful summary of their philosophy.
So what were the key takeaways from actually talking to these Ogimi elders?
Well, several things came through consistently. Don't worry too much. Keep your heart young. Connect with people.
Sounds like good advice for anyone.
Totally. Also, cultivating good daily habits. Get up early, garden, cook, keep your hands busy, do light exercise, remember ancestors, eat variety, stay active, nurture your friendships daily. That was big. Prioritize seeing people.
And live unhurriedly.
Yes. Slow down, relax, they'd say. But stay busy. Just focus on one thing at a time. That Ogimi inscription really captures it. Keep going, stay welcoming, live fully.
Wow. This whole deep dive into Ikigai has been really enlightening. It's definitely more than just a buzzword. It feels like a real grounded philosophy tied to living longer, healthier, and, happier.
Absolutely. I think the key takeaways are that Ikigai is your own personal reason for being. It's deeply connected to finding flow, having strong community ties, healthy habits, and this kind of positive, unhurried way of life, like we see in Okinawa.
And as the book makes clear, it's not some magic pill, is it? It's a journey, self-discovery, living with intention.
Exactly. So for you, the learner, maybe the question to ponder is, where could you bring a bit more purpose, a bit more flow into your own daily routine? What small steps could you take towards cultivating your own Ikigai for perhaps a longer and more meaningful life?
Maybe think about that Ogimi spirit, that simple wisdom from people who've truly mastered living well for a very long time.